Hi everybody, Jack Olesker, broadcasting to you from the 9th Circle of Hell. That's right, Kim and I are getting ready to move. Oh my God, Lord help us. But you know what, look, I can't complain. We rode the inflation train for like the last 10 years on our house. It's doubled in value. I'm getting older, you know, Kim's 19 years younger than me, and this way we can get a house, we own it free and clear, so don't feel bad for the killer, except that, oh my God, packing. Oh my God. And she's got such a convenient out. She can say, well, I'm the president and CEO of a Chamber of Commerce, I can't be here. But actually she gets home and she starts working with me as soon as she gets home. So we're gonna try to make that move hopefully by Thanksgiving, but we'll see what happens. We have to sell this house, but it's an amazing house. And you know what? 2 of our 3 children, graduated college. Zoe's traveling all over the country. Max has got about 1.5 years to go, and then he's going to be out of here. I don't know if he's going to Purdue or Notre Dame or where he's going to go. And we've got like 3 bedrooms in the house that are empty, and playrooms that are empty now. And I told the boys and Zoe and Kim, I'm going to miss this house a little bit. We had such great memories here. Santa Claus coming over when the children were little, and reading to them in bed, and just wonderful, wonderful memories. But the thing I came to realize is that this house has served its purpose. We raised 3 great children here, sent them all to school, and this house did everything that we wanted it to do. And it's time for Kim and I to turn the page and move on to a new chapter in our life. Hopefully we're going to be able to do some traveling. We're dying to go to Ireland. But anyway, that's the personal story. So back to the business side, Jean Chalopin comes up to me after I'm getting real close to finishing up on the New Adventures of He-Man, which was amazing. I wrote 37 episodes in the series Bible. And he says, I got a new gig for you. I said, oh, that's great. I said, what is it? He says, Hot Wheels. Well, my good friends at Mattel. And Jean, clever fellow that he is, took a series that was very popular in France called Michel Valiant. And it was about this race car driver and his family, and they go from city to city and they get into adventures. And he made a joint deal between his company and Mattel to call it Heroes and Hot Wheels with Michael Valiant. So I said, that sounds fantastic. I said, what's the next step? So he says, you're going to write. He says, you're going to write 65 episodes. So, no problem. All of a sudden, like 6 months before, I told you I was pushing a shopping cart over to the grocery store. My BMW was repossessed. Now I just finished up 37 episodes. I got another 65 coming. And John says, I got to fly you over to Paris. I want you to stay there for a couple of weeks or a month, and you'll work with the writers in Paris, Prive and Vanetti, nice fellas, but I did the writing. So I said, okay, John. I said, sounds good for me. So I got a call. Kim, don't go too far, because I know she's doing so much stuff with getting the house done. But
dinner.
I just in cooking dinner and everything else. But I just want to know when we get close to wrapping up here. But I get a call. I'm living in Palm Springs, and I get a call from a writer who will remain unnamed. And I had hired this guy for writing some episodes when I was at DIC, and it was a funny thing, it's a funny thing with life. When you're riding high, everybody's your friend. And when you get cut off at the knees, you find out who your friends are. And I'll tell you what, LA is very different from the heartland. I mean, I had 2 people that I knew that got in touch with me and said, let's go out and have a drink and let's talk. look, I don't expect everybody to, worry about Jack Olesker. I mean, everyone's got their own problems, their own life. But make a phone call, leave a message, wish me the best. Didn't happen. So now that I'm riding high with jet lag, this writer calls me up. He's really a hack writer. And he calls me up and he says, have you got any scripts that you're going to sign out? I heard you did you did 37 of the He-Man scripts, and I know you're going on doing Hot Wheels. I said, well, I'm going to write them all, which was a pleasure to tell him. And he said, that's the problem with you. He says, you want to write all the episodes. I said, I don't want to write all the episodes. I said, Jean Chalopin wants me to write all the episodes, so I don't have to deal with all of these other writers, bring their stories into line, and, get into the house dial. And look, I've got a thick skin. I had already been called the most hated writer in Hollywood, so I couldn't care less what this guy felt. And frankly, it felt kind of good, to shove in his face. As the Klingons would say, revenge is a dish that's best served cold. Or at least they'll claim that they said that. So Sean sends me the ticket. Whoop! I'm off to Paris. I fly out there and land. And, I had been there a couple times when I was young, when I graduated from high school. My parents sent me over to Europe, but, I don't remember much of that. But this was a tremendous opportunity for me to fall in love with Paris. And in the coming years, I'd spend a lot of time there. And this first time that I went over there on Heroes with Hot Wheels, it was a great opportunity for me to explore the city, which I did. And John gave me so much latitude. He had a wonderful office in Paris that I would work out of. And oh my God, I stayed at his chateau, about 100 miles away from Paris. I'd take one of these bullet trains out there, or he'd send the driver for me. And this chateau, now I knew what he did with what his profits were for selling DIC. This thing was on 2,400 acres, 65 rooms, fireplaces in all of the rooms. I don't want to tell you how much he spent renovating it. Let me just tell you that it was built in the 1100s, okay? And by the time he was finished with it, it was state of the art. We're walking around the grounds one day, and we come over to a lagoon, and there's this little small, kind of a mound. I won't say a mountain, but it's like a mound in the middle of the lagoon. And I said, and then there's swans, going all over the place. I said, Jean, this is really nice. I said, it's a very peaceful kind of a feel. And he says, you think it's nice? He says, watch this. And he pulls out this remote, he presses a button, and the side of this mound comes down and forms a walkway. And we walk across it and down the stairs underneath this lagoon. And he says, I'm gonna make this into a ballroom. And, he had like a chapel that he had brought over brick by brick from England. And listen, I don't begrudge him any of it. This was one of the hardest working men that I ever knew in my life. But he was fortunate in that almost everything he touched turned to gold. And I was really fortunate to be aligned with him. And, here, imagine, I'm just coming off 37 episodes in a series Bible for New Adventures of He-Man. I don't have a chance to blink. I got to pack and fly to Paris because I'm going to write another 65 episodes. And I had so much fun writing for the Heroes on Hot Wheels. I did Mask, as you all know. So I was, experienced with the race car genre, and it was a seamless transition to Heroes on Hot Wheels for Mattel. And it ended up being on the Family Channel, which now is Freeform, but in those days it was called the Family Channel. And I had an opportunity to take my Michael Valiant and his whole family and go all over the world, to every place I had ever been to Venice, to Paris, to London. I had one episode that I put in Palm Springs, where I lived. I had another episode that I put in Baja, and I had so much fun taking these great characters and moving from all the venues that I had been to. And Jean, of course, knew that I was a world traveler, and I think that's part of the reason that he tapped me for that show. But I was his only writer in those early days of Jet Lag. And when he said I was going to write 65 episodes, I mean, that's not an opportunity that comes along often. So I'm very grateful to him. Ironically enough, it was a joint production between him and my good friend Haim Saban, and Haim and Shuki Levy also did the music for Heroes on Hot Wheels, and that was kind of a precursor for what the next chapter in my life was going to be, and we'll talk about that in the next episode. Subscribe, like us, and I'll see you guys real soon. Wish me the best on packing. Oh my God.